Hello, I'm Annabelle Drumm, and I'm from Sydney, Australia.
And I'm Jeffree Carl, and I am from Catskill, New York, in the United States.
And we are running a series of discussions here on the different chakras of the body, not just the regular 7, but we're going up to all the latest ones as well. So far, we've started at the base and worked our way up to the heart, the lower heart. And today, we are looking at the higher heart, which wasn't counted as one of the original 7. It's a bit of a new one. So, Jeffree, do you want to tell us a little bit about the higher heart?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So the high heart, which my hands again are in this position of our high chest, like our high heart versus our lower heart, which is kind of like at the base of our rib cage, down into actually where the physical heart is. And the heart is the center, like I say, within all these chakra systems. And most people understand the chakras just going up and down from the base to the crown, and kind of bypass the whole heart, or maybe a little bit talk about the heart. But in actuality, the heart is the center of our energy system. It's the center of our universe. It's the center of our body, our being. And our high heart starts to take us into the more dimensionality of our chakra system. Since the chakras are basically our light body and our light system, these points on our body are only like markers to allow us to have focus of our consciousness. But the whole system is all around us. It encompasses us. And even like this high heart, so we're in the high heart, but we could probably do I'm probably going to break this up even more into 2 more sections. So it'd be 3 sections to our heart chakra.
Okay.
And in this one here, we'll be talking about the left and the right, because within our heart is the flame of what they call the threefold flame. And in the threefold flame is our spiritual energy. It's the energy of our soul. It's the energy of the creator, the prime creator spark of the mother, father, God, and goddess that lies within us. It's like this single atom inside of everybody, which they call the I am presence, is the seed atom that sparks everything in our life.
I was wondering, to me, it feels like when we often talk about the world being like a hologram, like a projection, that everything, like this body, in my eyes, it looks like this body is projected out from that one spot. Would that be right? Like that's the center, the very center of us.
It's the very center of us, and it's basically, it doesn't have to have. It's a part of us that doesn't, like, we have this form, but this form isn't who we really are. We're deeper within, and we're these spiritual beings who are inhabiting a body. We have a soul. Like, even to getting to the soul part of ourselves this is the connection here.
Okay.
Yeah, everything does come from the heart. So we're a projection. But then it's the mind, too, because then the mind, which is not the brains here, the mind kind of makes this whole circle around us. It's kind of like this whole, that's our mind. And then the center of our mind, which is a whole essence of like this giant orb of energy around us, is the heart. So it's kind of like the cell with the nucleus. And the same thing is happening, but on a larger scale here. But then it's larger and smaller and more grander at the same time. This is the doorway that goes in and out and all around. And so this is where we get really dimensional here. So if we bypass all this, what people do, then you just go from your head, which is your rational thinking, to your gut, which is just your eating and consuming with your rational thinking, and you miss this whole intuitive, loving connection. And then why it's also so important, because we have the left and the right side. So the chakra system, most of the time people think it's just this one line that's going up and down.
And so we have the left and right.
It kind of is.
When you want to split the heart into 3 sections, do you want the left and right to be 2 separate discussions, or are we going to talk about both of them today?
We're going to talk about the left and the right, and about the union of the heart flames. And it's like the masculine.
Right, so I remember I've seen them before, and they're like pink and blue and yellow. Is that right?
Well, pink and blue and yellow, yes. And these colors are actually, see, this is kind of like when you study color charts and mixing colors, then these become these other, it's like almost that the light and the dark come together, and the shadow with the light create 5 other colors, or and like the sienna and the really yellowish yellow and the bluish color and this fuchsia, all created from mainly the shadow affecting the light. And that's a whole other discussion, and people want to, you should just check
we'll
out
do colors.
Wheels
That would make a really good discussion.
Yeah, and color is really, it becomes very like, it's all refracted light. So the things that we see are not even actually the colors that we're seeing, and then it's caused by the shadows and darknesses.
Okay.
It's like, again, this is a whole other topic.
So let's come back to the heart.
But what we're getting to, because we are dealing with the light body, and the light body is the chakra system. So as we develop our clairvoyancy inside our eyes, we get our third eye open, then we'll start to see more of these colors. But on this level right now, we're dealing with basically the feminine and masculine energies in our body. It's the duality. It's the energies coming from, down from heaven, and the energies coming up from earth. And so they kind of meet within us, like in our body. Like we have the left and the right side of us. So in actuality, every person is 2 people walking around, because we have a left side and a right side. And we are always trying to balance that and work in unison. Like we want to get, ourselves in balance. And it's like the masculine and feminine. So we have the active part that goes out and does, and it finds, is out, assertive, do, and strong. And then we have the part that's receptive and intuitive and nurturing.
Yeah, masculine and feminine. Yin and yang, isn't it? So are these both held within that upper heart?
Yes, they become the three. So the threefold flame of our heart is our divine masculine, our divine feminine,
and then the yellow one in the middle,
and the creative force of the universe. However you want to glorify it. I mean, most people in galactic beings, you call it the mother, father of creation, because it is. It's this same kind of duality force, because it's like if you had creation from one point, and creation as a conscious entity, as a conscious being of itself, which be consciousness, but it would have to have something to reflect to in order to bring it into actuality. Otherwise, it would not know itself. It would just be there. So the reflection action is the nature of the universe, that creation happens, but it needs something to reflect itself on in order for it to be experienced. And it's on all these levels, from the minute atom to us, to why we want to go find somebody to be with, because we want to reflect to that person, and that person wants to reflect to us. Yeah. If you're standing in the middle of the woods and you clap your hands, who hears you?
Yeah, that's it.
Does anybody agree falling in the middle of the woods? Yeah, all the other little beings do, but.
So with the human evolution that's happening right now, what do you think has changed over the last few years in the upper heart?
What was the beginning of that question?
You know how humans are evolving, the planet is evolving at the moment. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole shift at the moment, the world shift and humans shift in consciousness.
Well, we're shifting into the divine feminine.
Okay, I was going to say, what is it that is around the upper heart that has changed over the last few years?
Yeah, we're getting into this levels of love. See, it's the vibration. It's always been in us, but we've been working out of our solar plexus too much and not being grounded into earth. And so we work a lot out of our solar plexus in our heads. And we don't. And what's really balancing right now, which is the part of our heart that we're talking about today, is the masculine and feminine balance. We have all these people that are running around, like men who want to become women and women who want to become men, which is fine. It's like we all have this thing, and we're all trying to find peace with our sexuality, with who we are as people, what really makes a man, what makes a woman. Why do some men think they can, be misogynist to women and be suppressed, dominating and control So we're working our way out of this patriarchal system that was, not really.
It was there for a long time, wasn't it? Like 5,000 years.
For more than we want to consider, because it's been thousands of years actually.
I think it's meant to swing every 5,000 years, but it didn't. So we had like 10,000 years or something a bit odd, which may be why it feels so out of balance.
Yeah, because this is what we're trying to balance. So to me, it's like I have a masculine and I have a feminine side of myself. And if I'm a man, so then I say, well, for a lot of men, it would be hard for them to say, oh, I've got female or feminine in me. But the feminine part of us, not only in our sexuality or in our thing, but it's a caring, it's intuitive, it's taking care of the body, it's nurturing life, it's nurturing the children, it's nurturing the planet. And, when we have heart and we're feeling that, and it's not like about being in head where we can just disconnect from it and segregate everything and not to be connected. But we need to make these energies flow through our body. It's like our body is all divided up, like the left side of our brain and the right side of our brain. Some parts control one side of the body and some parts control the other side of the body. And then between them, some parts control the same part of the body. But in the energetic system that's going through us, if you can't love the feminine, like for me, if I can't love the female that's inside of me, then I really can't love the females that are outside of me, because obviously I have issues that I can't just really be a loving person. And then you have to love the male that's inside of you. You have to love that masculine inside of you, the side that's strong and aggressive. It could be a little too strong, it could be a little too pushy, but both of them have to be centered back into love. So it's coming to.
So I know that a lot of that is sort of happening quite naturally, but is there things that we can do to improve that balance in each of us? Because like even from me, from a woman's point of view, that we're brought up to believe, society believes that to push and be strong and stand on your own and win and beat everybody, and we're taught that from a very young age that's what it's all about. So the little girls are taught the masculine sides of things are what is rewarded and what is valued the most. And I know for me it's taken quite a long time, right through my adult life, to try and find that feminine side and accept that actually that is as powerful, according to the theories, is even more powerful inside of me, because that should be the natural side for me, being a woman. But I think for each of us, there's a balancing sort of thing, isn't there, that we've got to go through. And even though a lot of that is natural, can you think of any ways that would help us rebalance those two sides in the upper heart?
Well, we have to learn to love ourselves again. We have to love that part of us. I mean, I do a lot of work just to allow the masculine and feminine to where you become to. So then we have all this stuff where people are talking about the twin flames, and there's this whole twin flame.
Yeah. But that's about somebody else, which might be worth,
because
rather than it up the heart, it might be a better discussion to do that one separate. Do you reckon? Because otherwise we'd go off on one tangent and then the other.
But but this is all part of the left and the right side.
Okay.
The twin flame part of this is just, what do we have? This is the threefold flame that I've been talking about since the beginning. So we have the left flame, and the right, we have the feminine flame that's inside of us, and we have the masculine flame inside of us. And these two flames, actually it would be more like this fuchsia, pinkish, and this light bluish, which actually, when you combine them, creates lavender or purple. So then they're kind of like, even at this combined energetically, so when these colors are combining, they're shooting up the violet flame. So it kind of shoots up, and that starts activating the higher, from the backside of us, starts activating the higher chakras, which shoots out this violet flame around us at that point, and it shoots down more of this yellow flame into our solar plexus.
Okay.
But the twin flame part of this is this balance within us. It's like, if we're our twin flames, which means that we're two flames from the same fire, that fire is also inside my heart at all times. And that means that my twin flame is present in my heart in this moment of now. Like it's present in your heart, your masculine twin flame is present in your heart now.
That's a nice thought, isn't it?
Well, once we start to realize that, because if we're really truly, this whole really idealistic thing of it is like, yes, this is my other part of me. This is like my other flame, and you have to have that marriage inside your heart, and this is where you have it. It's in your high heart. It's like I don't go anywhere to find my twin flame because my twin flame is the other flame that's within my heart. Now, this could be a person on the outside for me.
Rather than reaching out and going to find them or yearning for them or any of that kind of thing, you're saying just be comfortable with it within your own heart.
Yeah, because I hear all these people, they're like, oh, I see my twin flame, and it floated away, and it's like it ran away, and blah, blah. But no, the union first is within our heart. It's the divine union that they talk about in a lot of the mysticism and stuff. It's when, at this point, the divine becomes your lover. And that lover, for me, it's like, it's like I was raised Christian, so I love Jesus in the sense that, like my own personal way that I conceive of Jesus, not so much the traditional Christians or anything, but as a being of love and bringing forth Heavenly Father's love. But then I always believed the goddess and the divine mother and the cosmic goddess. And to me, so then that would be the female aspect of God would be the goddess, and I've always worshipped the goddess, which would be the feminine that's inside of me. And so I put the feminine inside of me in the position of being the goddess inside of me, because God is both masculine and feminine. Then it comes into that word androgynous in this nature that we're both of these sexes. But in my heart is my divine goddess. In my heart is my divine God. It's my divinity. It's bringing my human self into this place of realizing that my soul, my spiritual nature, my intuitive nature, which I perceive as my divine goddess, you might perceive it as your divine God inside of you, like when everybody's like, oh, Christ and loving Christ, and they're loving their masculine aspect of the divinity, but that's inside of us.
Yeah, well, Christ is, you got to be careful how you use the word Christ anyway, because it's more to do with Christa, isn't it? It's not Christella, the original word, which is enlightenment of God. It's nothing to do with Jesus. Jesus was enlightened, so he was Jesus Christ. It wasn't, his parents weren't Mr. and Mrs. Christ.
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Yeah, so this is what's so important about it. This union happens here. And then we see people outside. Like, people are like, like we have this idea of what our other part would look like. And so we'll see aspects of that in other people. But then when we go there, and unless we really center first in our own hearts, then we're going with this neediness, like, oh, that person's going to bring me this, or that other thing is going to be the fulfillment of me, and this is a fulfillment. But it does for a few moments, maybe a couple of years, and some people can kind of live in unity with each other the whole life. But usually it doesn't last like that, and people get all disillusioned about it all, and start like getting, start to resent their whole partner that they thought would be the twin flame and whatever, because
I think that twin flames would make a wonderful entire different conversation, because there's so much that we could talk about there about, the reaching out and how to rely on somebody, and all of that stuff would make, we could talk about that for ages.
Okay, so this is the heart chakra. Okay, so this is like I'm saying, this is why we divide the heart chakra even into 3 sections, because now we're talking. This is what this part of it is. It's the left and the right is meeting in our body. Definitely having a conversation about relationships with people is another whole topic. But
yeah, I think
balancing this energy in our body is part of a whole, the whole part of our chakra system too. It's like our left and hand. So like at this point too, we're making this connection. So we go up and down, and we go sideways.
Yeah.
And at this point, our arms, left arm I mean, we don't have a lot of videos, so, but anyhow, my left arm shoots out my right arm. So that's all coming from our armpits. It's making into our chest here. So now this begins our cross out. So the left and the right that pulls us out. Like say if we're standing and our head's at north and our feet are at south, and our one arm is going to the east and our right arm's going to the west. And now we've created this energy around us. So now the line suddenly has depth. So our body now increases its depth around us because we can extend out and we can extend up. And so now it can start pulling in these directions. And it all goes back down to the center, back into our hearts, where we're balancing the left and the right sides of our body. We're getting into where, the people who study flower of life and stuff, this is basically gets us into the center of this flower that expands us out into all these directions. But if we don't have the left and the right balance, then we're not expanding ourselves out properly. We're just either we're lopsided or we're not expanding, or we're constricted, and nothing even starts going out, because it all comes back to self-identity, feeling good about ourselves, and balancing these energies within our body.
So are you saying that there's a way that we can set ourselves up so it is easier for us to stretch out and add depth to our light body? Is that what you're saying? There is a way to stretch that out and make that easier?
Yeah, but the way to stretch it out is you have to first come in to yourself and to accept that you have to accept both sides of yourself.
Yeah, so accept the masculine and feminine.
Masculine and
so it's kind of like a bit of an internal meditation to get it started. We center ourselves, find that very center, and then we stretch out. Is that what you're saying?
Well, we stretch out by allowing our heart to open up more, and we allow our heart to open up more when we're not in conflict with ourselves internally. Because see, this is where it's more psychological.
Yeah, it's not a physical thing, is it?
It's not really a physical thing at this point. It's a point of you finding peace with yourself, with your body. We're trying to go out. We're trying to spread out. We're just not these lines that poles. That's like people are not just poles. We go out into the world. We go out in all directions. We're beings that are 360 degrees. But we get ourselves so trapped up into these emotional things, and we're not letting go of problems. So this is where all the chakras start to go back in. So now we, at this point, we have a lot of forgiveness. We call forth, the feelings of forgiveness, of unconditional love. We need to first center ourselves in ourselves, which is the masculine and the feminine, and then we get the divine, the divinity of our soul, which takes us into our spiritual body, which takes us into this other dimension. So now it becomes this is a very dimensional portal.
All right.
That's why the heart.
Okay. So I think if we can try and sort of wind up the conversation now, it sounds like what you're saying for this week, because we always like to look for an exercise to do between this one and the next discussion, which will be the same time next week. That do you think that's probably a good thing for people to think about, is to try and focus on making peace with the masculine and the feminine side of ourselves? Would that be a nice simple exercise to meditate on?
Yeah, I would say that would be the one. Like if you can find peace with the masculine side of yourself, being a man and a woman, and if you can find peace with the feminine side, being a man and a woman, then you're working on creating the most peaceful environment for your body to be in, the heart to be in. Because now you're going to be, the war really is inside our own hearts.
Okay. And I guess for those who have the habit of constantly reaching out for somebody else to fulfill one of those sides, that to just see if you can kill the habit just for a week and focus on your own masculine and feminine rather than reaching outside for somebody else to do it.
Well, what you do, you can take this like other ways too. You can start to role play with the feminine and masculine inside of yourself. Like, what is the divine masculine? What are these qualities? And then why do I look at these qualities in a man? Is it also the qualities that I have in myself as a woman, or these qualities that I'm looking for as a woman? Or is this, and if I'm looking at from a man to a woman, the softness and the beauty or whatever else?
That
having
sounds
the
good.
freedom to think that you are a man and you are a woman. That's, to me, it's that union that makes us almost androgynous at this point. But
Okay, that sounds like a good exercise then
Yeah.
that we'll do for this week. That sounds good. So what is it that we'll work on next week? Should we move on up? Move further up?
We'll move on up into the higher part of the innermost of the part, and then that'll take us into the fifth chakra.
Can you hear me? Okay, all right. It's a good time to finish up. So tune in, same time next week, and we are going to go right here on blab.im, and I'll put the times for that on my website as well, kitegirlcoach.com.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next week. Okay, bye.